Welcome to The Author's Journey with #1 international best-selling author and in-demand publisher, Rebecca Hall Greider. Today, we'll showcase the works of an amazing best-selling author, find out the story behind their book, and explore ways to bring your message powerfully forward. Now, here's your host, Rebecca Hall Greider.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Honored to be connecting in with you on The Author's Journey, where we connect with amazing best-selling authors who really share what the journey is like, what it was like to go from idea to reality to bringing a book forward and having it received as a bestseller. So they pull back the curtain, share tips and ideas and what the journey is really like. Excited about our guest today. She is an author actually of multiple books, as well as has led an anthology project where she's helping multiple authors come together under one book title and share their wisdom, share their information, share their content. So she has a really unique perspective, both as a leader of a project like that, as well as an author herself. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation. I know she has so much that she'll be adding to it and sharing to empower and support each of you. But to get the most out of our conversation today, I want to make sure you are fully present. So let's take a breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Beautiful, like through a straw. Just slowing down a moment, keep breathing. This is your time to be supported, to be poured into, to get insight, ideas, maybe some of those next steps to help you bring your message forward. In fact, as you're sitting here breathing, I encourage you to have a notepad nearby where you can take notes, thoughts, ideas as they come to you, either from the moments where you're processing, breathing, and really listening, to the insights and ideas that our amazing guest will share with you. Sometimes we have those glimpses, those brilliant ideas that can help us bring our things forward, and we're sure we'll remember, and we don't because we get distracted. We move on to that next shiny thing. So I encourage you to capture those moments, capture those insights, write them down so that you can refer to that. You can start to bring them forward. And you'll have time during our commercial breaks where you can go deeper, reflect, write some additional notes. So we're slowing down, breathing. I encourage you to take a moment and feel in to what it is that you need today to encourage you and support you on your journey. As a writer, as an author, what do you need today to support you, to help you, to encourage you, to bring your brilliance forward and share it with the world? What do you need today? Receive that information. Take a moment and write it down on the piece of paper so you've got it top of mind. You know exactly what you're listening for, looking to discover, wanting to be encouraged as I introduce our amazing guest. Dr. Elizabeth Clamon is straight from the backwoods of Louisiana. She is today a motorcycle riding grandma and serial entrepreneur with a servant's heart. She's a #1 international best-selling author, has been featured on NBC, ABC, Fox, and CBS, is an expert storyteller, which I know you will hear, a motivational speaker, and founder of the Expert Storytelling Academy. She's a survivor of a traumatic and challenging and abusive childhood. She has suffered chronic illnesses and severe pain from multiple car accidents, including one that kept her bedridden for 12 years, not 12 days, 12 years, not 12 months, 12 years. And she has risen again to travel and to speak and to share and to support. And she's on a mission to make up for that lost time and always bringing her mission forward to help you step into your resilience, to help you rise up again, and that no matter what comes, you can still choose to move forward and have the impact you are called to have. So please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Dr. Elizabeth Clamon to the show. Welcome.
You always make me feel like such a superstar.
You are. So welcome. I'm just excited and thrilled to have you joining us today, and can't wait to hear all that is laid on your heart to share with us. And to start the conversation, I'd love for you to share, why did you elect to write your very first book that you leaned into? Because you've written multiple. So what called you forward to write that first book, and how did you bring it from the thought to reality?
Well, it was something that I fought for many years, where my husband kept telling me, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. And I kept saying, I don't want to write a book. I don't like to write. I like numbers. And he kept saying, but you're so good at it. And I said, that doesn't mean I have to like it. And then I wrote some blogs and participated in a couple of anthologies. And I got to thinking, well, if I could do that, I could probably write a whole book. And I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning one morning, and I just felt like it's time to write that story of my childhood and the journey that I went through to heal. And that's what spurred me on to start writing that book, which was my first full book of my own.
Mm. And so this, I'm curious, because you were so resistant, right? I don't want to. Right. I shouldn't have to. It's not fun. And yet you kept feeling that pulling and that prompting. And then you finally said, okay, fine. And how long was it after the okay, fine, I'll do it, to the download coming?
I started getting up every morning, and that is remarkable in and of itself, because I'm not a morning person. I don't do mornings very well. So to get up every morning and just feel this need to write, I just knew it was time. I had tried to write the story several times, but it just came out angry or mad or bitter or sad, and it wasn't the book I wanted to write. And so when it was time, it just flowed through me. Every day I would write for at least an hour every morning. And I went back and read it and couldn't believe that I had written it. That some of those things didn't even seem like my thoughts, because it was so revealing even to me.
How powerful to gain new insight and perspective as you're writing and bringing it forward. And then after the creation process, did you find you moved right into figuring out the next steps, or did you find you had to kind of choose to bring it forward again? What was your experience like?
Being that it was such a personal story about my childhood, and it also comes from my naturopathic degree, in that it is about my self-healing journey, because all of that childhood trauma I buried and hid, and it caused me to be physically ill. And so I went through a journey of healing from that, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And so the book walks you through that healing as well. So it's kind of a combination of memoir and self-help book. And when I finished writing the first draft, I felt like I needed somebody safe that I trusted but that knew about writing, because I hadn't really written much but letters since my emails since high school, and that was a little while ago, the other day. I sent it to my sister-in-law, who has a master's degree in English, because she had watched me walk through the journey, plus she knew how to write from a professional perspective. So I felt like I could trust her to go through it and give me ideas and prompts and corrections and things like that. She was kind of a safe person for me.
Beautiful. I love that. So I love that you leaned into doing it and you took the steps and then you allowed it in a way to kind of go in the direction it was called to go, as it came forward. Right. And then, read it and received the healing and the information and the additional perspectives on your life. And then you let somebody in on the journey to support you and help you bring it forward, and a place that you could trust to guide you and add some of their expertise to the process.
Yes, absolutely. And something I want to really key in on is the healing part of it.
Yeah.
Writing is so healing. When you've been through something difficult, you've been through a trauma, or as I have multiple traumas, it is so healing when you write it and it's out of your head and it's on paper, and it's like it takes the power out of it over you. It no longer can torture you in your head the way it did. At least that was for me, that was what happened.
Powerful. Thank you for sharing. We are getting ready to go to our first commercial break. And as we do that, listeners, I want you to think about what Dr. Elizabeth has shared. And perhaps you have a story within you, a journey within you that has been being, kind of giving you a little bit of pressure, pulling at your heart, wanting to come forward. And you've been wrestling with it a little bit. And I think this encouragement that it can also bring healing as you're writing and bringing it forward, and just kind of releasing the resistance, being willing to lean in and see what comes forward. It's still your choice on if you take additional steps, but the actual writing of it can be so powerful and so healing. And so I love that Dr. Elizabeth has shared that. And as we go to this commercial break, I want you to think about what's speaking at your heart, what is wanting to come forward, what is pulling at you, and take a moment or two to just capture a couple of those thoughts. We'll look forward to continuing our conversation in just a moment.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
Explore the poetry of Sam Yao. His book of poems, Soul's Journey, is a #1 international bestseller. Sam is a contemporary poet with a unique and highly relatable poetic style to convey the essence of spiritual truths for our time. Readers will find beauty, inspiration, and healing in his words. Get his book, Soul's Journey, today on Amazon.com or visit SamYaoPoetry.com. That's Sam, Y-A-U, Poetry.com.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Stimulating talk
gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The #1 internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that moment, that time to think a little bit, feel in, see what's pulling at your heart and spirit, and explore writing it, bringing it forward, seeing what it has to say. And I find sometimes an activity that helps me when I'm a little bit resistant to writing or bringing something forward is I'll write a question with my dominant hand, my normal writing hand, which is my right hand. For me, I'm right-handed. So I would write the question, what is it that I want to share? What is being called forth? And then I switch hands. I put the writing utensil, the pen, the pencil, the crayon in the other hand. So for me, it would be my left hand, and I answer. And what I find happens is it taps into the opposite part of my brain from where I normally go to for information, and I gain insights, a new perspective. Handwriting doesn't count. And it builds new neural pathways, and I'm able to connect the dots in a different way from how I was before. So I really encourage you to find a way, whether it's this activity or another, to start really tapping into what is being called forth, and then build that practice like Dr. Elizabeth shared of getting up each morning and writing, just seeing what comes through and letting it come forward. And then you get to read it, you get to process it, you decide what to do with it. But I encourage you to create a process, a way to start bringing forward those things that are pulling at your heart, that are pulling at your spirit, because they're needed. That's what I feel like part of that pull is because something you have, your insight, your perspective, your wisdom, your experience, your expertise is needed. That's why you're feeling that pressure, that pull. So I encourage you to tap in and discover. We are talking with our amazing Dr. Elizabeth, who is sharing some of the journey of her very first book when she leaned in to bring that forward, and how there was some wrestling. It was so personal to her and to her journey, and to decide to bring it forward and share it. And she brought her sister-in-law into the process to help her in reading it and reviewing it. And then, Dr. Elizabeth, you leaned into publishing it and sharing it. And I'm so curious, what helped you? Yeah, what helped you decide to, after her reading it, reviewing it, decided to take those steps and really bring it forward and share it with the world? Because sometimes we get stuck there, and you brought it forward.
I always knew that it needed to be published because I knew that it would help people. I knew once I walked through that healing that it would help people, and I knew that I went through it for a purpose, to help someone else who was going through something difficult or something similar. And that is absolutely what I found since I published it, is that that publishing it and putting it out into the world and having others read it was the best part, because it really has helped many people. And I often give the book away if I have people who can't afford it, but I feel just that tug that they really need the message. And it's more important. The message is more important to me. Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing, and I love your heart and your spirit in it, this really honoring who it's called for and making it accessible and sharing that. And you not only have brought your own book forward and books forward, but you have leaned into becoming a compiler where you're leading a book project with multiple authors. And you launched that the end of last year, so 2020. You brought forward a book that you led and had multiple women come and participate in. And I'd love for you to share, one, why you decided to lead an anthology project like this, and what was the vision for it?
You know, I don't think I ever decide to just do something and step out and do it. I think it's really a calling, and that's how it was with Fiercely Faithful. I was speaking a lot at the beginning of 2020, and of course COVID hit, and we couldn't, I couldn't be out and speak like I wanted to, and virtual events weren't real popular. So I was just like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? And I had this idea just laid on my heart that I was supposed to bring forth this book about about God's faithfulness, and not the book, but a virtual summit. And I did that just on a really small scale on Facebook and YouTube. And then I felt like, okay, the next step is an anthology to put these stories together and bring them all forward to help other people. But what I didn't know was only one of the people that did the virtual seminar with me did the book. The other 13 authors were completely different. Most of them people that I didn't know or didn't know very well.
I love this. So how you originally thought it would play out, it became different and it evolved.
Yes.
And you honored that.
Most things in my life do.
And I love your openness to following that and feeling in and really reading what is happening and who's called to be part of this. And then you brought it forward. And do you mind sharing the full title of the book?
Oh, my goodness. I don't even have it in front of me. It's Fiercely Faithful, Be Inspired, Find True Purpose, and Lead a Miraculous Life. I remembered the whole thing.
Look at you.
At my age, that's amazing.
I love it. I love it. And this fiercely faithful and having so many people lean in. Did you have surprises along the way of, so one, different people from who were in the seminar, the summit that you were part of, only one of them continued and were called to be part of this book. And so you had all these new people coming aboard that felt that calling, that felt that alignment to each contribute a chapter and be part of the book. Were there any surprises along the way as you were leading it to bring it forward and share it with the world?
Oh, there were so many surprises, even from just announcing on social media and through my email newsletter that I was going to do this. My husband's cousin immediately sent me a message and said, tell me more. I want to be part of it. And I knew her story because I had been there and walked through it with her, and I was really surprised that she wanted to share it. And so that was with you never know when you feel called and led to do something like this, who you're going to help that's been thinking about it and contemplating it and wants to step out and do it, but just doesn't know how. And that's what I found. Most of my authors were brand new authors, had never written before. And so this was their first time to tell their stories, and there are some just amazing stories in there that just completely blew me away. And the people that step forward to tell those stories are just amazing. And I love how it not only built the book, but it built a community that they all interact and they're still friends, and they still support each other, and it's just amazing.
I love it. I love how so much from that initial vision of doing a virtual summit planted the seed that led to the book, that led to the community. That's just so powerful. And this powerful book having this ripple effect out in the world and being received because you chose to launch it, to do a best-selling campaign. It became a #1 international best-selling book in 5 countries, 38 categories, 12 #1s. I mean, just hugely received, powerfully received in so many different parts of the world. What was that like for you, and what was that like for your co-authors? Many of them, this first time writing, to have it received so powerfully.
It was completely mind-blowing, not just for me, but for our authors and for everybody who I tell how well that book did. They're just completely blown away. And the authors, one of them has written and is publishing her book in the next few weeks. And another one is in the process of writing her book. So it not only launched, because I think once you tell a little bit of your story, it gives you the courage to step up. And once you get, it's received and it's well received, then you're like, okay, I'm not going to be rejected or, thrown out or whatever, you think that people are going to, judge you or whatever. Once you get that kind of a reception or a good reception, then it gives you the courage to take the next step, which might have been on your mind all along anyway.
Beautiful. And I love that, an anthology being a way to do that and share a part of your journey, kind of test the waters and do it in a community format and get it to share out, and you're not doing it all on your own. I think that's something that's so powerful for anthologies. I know for myself, that's how I started writing as well, was participating a chapter at a time. And that was, it felt easier for me than to start a whole book all on my own. That felt very daunting. And so one chapter at a time, I could bring it forward. And you have the experience on both sides, doing a complete book, bringing it forward, going through all the steps, as well as leading others who are writing for the first time to kind of bring their story forward a chapter at a time. And I love the community that you've created and the seeds that have been planted. And now they're bringing forward their own books too. I'm so excited for you and for them. And as you look back on all of this journey so far, do you have any advice or tips that you would give writers out there that are thinking about bringing their story forward or kind of in different steps on the journey? Any tips or advice you would give them?
The thing that I hear most from people who are considering writing a book is the fear of rejection. And fear is just an emotion, like any emotion. And what I tell them is just do it scared. Just do it scared, because you're going to get a different reaction than you expect. And just, if you think of it in terms of, and this is how I had to think of my book when I wrote it, was if it helps one person who has been through childhood trauma and abuse, then it is worth it for me to write it and publish it. So if you think about your story as if it just helps one person, then it's worth it. It's worth the effort of me writing it. Even if you're writing your story in an anthology, if it helps one person. And I know I interviewed one of the authors from Fiercely Faithful, the one that's publishing her own book. I interviewed her this last week for a show that I'm doing, and she told me that she had this book rolling around in her head for over a year, with chapters and titles and everything, but just didn't have the courage to step out and do it until she was able to do it as part of a community. And isn't that what we find? A lot of times it's easier to do things as a community, together, because we're stepping out together. So it's not just one of us that's going to get judged. It's the whole group. So then once we do that, then we're like, okay, I can do this.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that it had been speaking to her, and taking this step and doing this chapter in community helped her kind of break through that and be able to bring her whole book forward. And now she gets to add that title of #1 international bestseller right out the gate with her first book. That's powerful.
And I reminded her of that.
Good. Sometimes it takes a little time to claim that and own it. So I love that. Beautiful. Well, we're getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do that, listeners, I want you to think about what's a step you can take to help bring your book forward. Is it maybe being part of an anthology, part of a group book project where you're getting to take some of those initial steps in community and in support? Or maybe it's just making that commitment, being willing to start to bring it forward and build that pattern, that commitment in your life. Maybe it's facing some of the fear and the emotions around that. And it's okay to feel that, but don't let that stop you. Fear is not a reason not to. You get to navigate through. So see what's speaking to your heart, see what's speaking to your spirit, and we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you got some great insight and some downloads and ideas of some next steps you can take to bring your book forward. And I just want to remind you, it's not a solo journey, that we are all here to help you, cheer you on, support you on your journey. If we can ever be of support or assistance, please reach out. We're happy to have a conversation, to answer questions, to give you some tips, to point you in a great direction. You can always set up a time for us to talk, going to meetwithrebecca.com. Again, that's meet, like having a meeting, with rebecca.com. And we're happy to support you and give you some advice or tips for the journey, and maybe connect you with some great anthology opportunities if that's something that you're feeling a pull towards. So don't be shy. We're happy to support you on your journey. We're honored to have our amazing guest, Dr. Elizabeth Clamon, with us today, and I'm going to have her share a couple things with us here in this closing segment. But before we do, I want to make sure you have her contact information and that you know where you can find all of her beautiful books. So, Dr. Elizabeth, where can they find your books, including Fiercely Faithful?
It is easiest to find me if you can just remember my name, Elizabeth Clamon, and it's CLAMON, clamon.com. And that is my website. My contact information is there. And if you do Elizabeth Clamon /author, you will find all of the books that I have been a part of. And you can order them from there, or you can find them on Amazon.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. And is there a favorite media that you like to connect on, or are you kind of on all of them?
I'm on all of them, but Facebook is probably the one that I spend the most time on, and connecting to me through email at elizabeth@elizabethclamon.com is that, or through Instant Messenger on Facebook is probably the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that additional guidance. So those who want to lean in and connect know the best ways to do that. That's great. And I know that you have a lot of different types of projects that you lean into and you are called to bring forward, plus the speaking that you do and the sharing and the uplifting for so many. What are some projects you have going on that you want people to know about and they can be watching for?
I have an anthology coming out in July, on July 15th, and it's called The Fiercely Unstoppable Entrepreneur. Lead with purpose, overcome challenges, and take control of your destiny. And it is a collaboration of entrepreneurial journeys, because I want it to be a support for other up-and-coming entrepreneurs that are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. So that's my next anthology, and I am looking for a few more authors. So if you're an entrepreneur and you'd like to share your story to help young and upcoming entrepreneurs, I would be more than happy to talk with you. Just reach out to me through email or through instant messenger on Facebook.
Perfect. Thank you for letting us know. So one, we can watch for that when it comes out on July 15th. And two, if they're feeling a pull and a call, here's an opportunity, real time, to step forward and be part of an anthology, one chapter at a time. So thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. And what an opportunity for those who are listening today and are thinking about bringing things forward, and you're thinking about, you know what, one chapter sounds like the right step for me. Here's an opportunity. So I appreciate you sharing that. And then I wanted to tap into some of your powerful experience, because as we're bringing our time together to a close, I always like to give something to our listeners that they can take with them to support them on the journey. And you have overcome so much. And every time you have faced a challenge, and like being bedridden for 12 years, and yet you were willing to heal and to rise up again from that, even when you were told it wasn't possible. You didn't accept that, and you found a way, and you continue to do that. Any challenge that comes along, you find a way. So what piece of advice and tip do you have for our listeners today that are perhaps facing a challenge and it feels insurmountable, or it's knocked them off their feet? What advice, tip, or reminder would you give them today?
Oh, I know how you feel. You are not alone. It's just, for me, the challenges just keep coming. And I just keep, just plugging away. But the main thing for me, especially with the 12 years of being bedridden, was that aha moment. We all have those aha moments in our lives. And for me, it was after a surgery in 2016 that I had to have, and I could not control my pain. And I was going into shock, and my teeth were chattering, and I was sweating and shivering, and I just had this change of mind, just a change in mindset. I looked at my husband and I said, I'm done doing this their way. And the reason I was in shock was because I was on so many pain medications that they could not control my pain in the hospital, even with IVs and everything. Mm. And so I just challenge you to challenge your thinking, because a lot of times it's our thinking that is keeping us trapped where we are. And we just have to change the way we think to change the way that things are. Mm.
And it starts from that inside.
That's my advice for you. That's what always works for me, is I have to say, this is not okay. And this is not going to be this way. And I have the ability to change it. Mm. And even if you just take a small step, and that's what I did when I got home. I'm not telling you I got out of bed and started speaking the next day. I got out of bed for 5 minutes, and then I got out of bed for 15 minutes, and I started cutting those pills in half and weaning off of them. So it's a small step, it's process, and it's make a plan, write the plan down, and work the plan every single day. And it starts by changing your mind, changing the way you think.
Thank you. So powerful. Well, Dr. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for that powerful and insightful share. I hope that encourages all our listeners that we just pay attention to how are we thinking, and being open to changing that, building the plan, and then work the plan. Take the steps every single day. And those small steps add up to big steps. So be willing to take the steps. Dr. Elizabeth, thank you again for joining us. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. I hope this has served you. I hope that you are finding a step you can take to bring your message forward, because it's absolutely needed in the world. If you're feeling that pull, you're feeling that calling, it is a calling. It is needed. So take the steps to bring it forward. Lean in. And wherever you go, whatever you do, Choose to bring your message forward, bloom where you are planted, and shine. Have a great week, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to The Author's Journey. Please join Rebecca Hall-Gruyter for another edition of the Author's Journey podcast every Monday on the Voice America Variety Channel. And until we talk again, use some of the tips and inspiration from today's show to guide you as you lean in to bringing your message forward.